The real answer to what your ancestors ate is far stranger than you think. Your body still remembers it. Every craving you fight, every reach for sugar, every helpless pull toward fat and salt is a message from a brain built 2 million years ago. That brain did not evolve for grocery stores. It evolved for scarcity. And scarcity wrote rules into you that convenience cannot erase. So, what did your ancestors actually eat? Not a steady, balanced diet. Not 3 meals a day. Something far more chaotic, far more opportunistic, and far more brilliant than that. Start about 3 million years ago with early hominins like Australopithecus. Their diet was mostly plant matter. Tubers, fruit, leaves, nuts, the occasional insect. Anthropologist Peter Unger has spent decades studying ancient teeth, and the microscopic scratches on those teeth tell a story. They reveal a diet that shifted with the seasons, sometimes soft fruit, sometimes tough, fibrous roots. Hunger forced flexibility. Flexibility kept them alive. Then something changed. Around 2.5 million years ago, the first members of the genus Homo appear, and with them, stone tools. Sharp flakes of rock. Crude, but enough to do something extraordinary. Enough to cut through hide. Enough to scrape meat from bone. Enough to access marrow, the fatty, calorie-dense substance hidden inside animal bones that other predators couldn't reach. This mattered more than it sounds. Marrow is one of the richest food sources in nature. Hyenas can crack bones with their jaws. Early humans could not. But with a rock, they could smash a femur open and reach a meal that no other scavenger could touch. Suddenly, a carcass already picked over by lions still had something left worth taking. This is not the image you probably have in your head. Forget the heroic hunter spearing a mammoth. For a long stretch of human history, your ancestors were scavengers as much as hunters. They followed predators. They waited. They watched vultures circle, because circling vultures meant a kill, and a kill meant food. Why does this matter? Because meat and marrow changed the brain. Richard Wrangham, a primatologist at Harvard, has argued that the real turning point wasn't meat alone, it was cooking. Cooked food is easier to digest. It delivers more usable calories for less chewing and less gut effort. Wrangham's hypothesis is that controlled use of fire, somewhere around 1 to 2 million years ago, freed up enormous amounts of energy. Energy that no longer had to go toward grinding raw plants in an oversized gut. Energy that could go somewhere else instead. It went to the brain. Your brain, right now, burns about 20% of your body's energy at rest. That number is wildly out of proportion for an organ that size. No other primate spends that much. Cooking food is one of the leading explanations for how that became possible at all. So picture it. A small group around a fire, roasting a kill, the fat sizzling, the smell carrying further than raw meat ever could. That smell was not just dinner. It was the beginning of a brain capable of language, of planning, of imagining a future it had not yet lived. But meat was never the whole story. Far from it. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer groups, like the Hadza of Tanzania, have found something that surprises most people. Plants, not meat, often made up the majority of daily calories. Roots, berries, honey, which the Hadza prize so highly they will climb cliffs and risk bee stings to get it. Researcher Frank Marlowe, who lived among the Hadza for years, documented just how central foraged plant foods were to survival, especially for women and children, who gathered constantly while men hunted with far less guaranteed success. Hunting is unreliable. A hunt can fail for days. Foraging rarely does. This is why the phrase hunter-gatherer is a little misleading. It should probably be gather-hunter. The gathering kept people alive. The hunting, when it succeeded, was a celebration. Here's where it gets stranger. Ancient humans were not picky. They 8 things that would make you recoil today. Insects, full of protein and fat, were a reliable food source in many regions.
Termites, grubs,
Fish using nothing but their hands or simple traps. Shellfish along coastlines, smashed open against rocks. Wild grains, beaten and eaten raw or roasted, long before anyone called it farming. And it varied enormously by location. In coastal regions of South Africa, archaeological sites like Pinnacle Point show evidence that early humans were harvesting shellfish over 100,000 years ago, a stable, dependable protein source tied to the tides instead of the unpredictable luck of a hunt. In colder northern regions, fat from large animals became essential, since plant food was scarce for much of the year. The diet of your ancestors was never one diet. It was 1,000 different diets, each one shaped by wherever they happened to be standing. This is the part that should reframe everything you think you know about the ancient diet. There was no single ancient diet. There was no perfect, universal way humans ate before agriculture. There was only adaptation over and over to whatever a particular landscape offered in a particular season. Then, roughly 12,000 years ago, everything shifted again. Agriculture began. Wheat, barley, rice, and corn were domesticated in different parts of the world, and for the first time, humans could grow food instead of only finding it. This sounds like obvious progress. It mostly wasn't, at least not at first. Skeletal remains from early farming populations often show something unexpected: signs of malnutrition, smaller stature, and more dental disease than their hunter-gatherer ancestors had. A diet narrowed down to 1 or 2 staple grains was reliable, but it was nutritionally poorer than the wild, varied diet it replaced. Farming bought humanity something more valuable than health, though. It bought surplus. Surplus meant population growth. Surplus meant villages, then cities, then everything that followed. So here is the strange truth sitting underneath your modern eating habits. Your body is still calibrated for scarcity that no longer exists. That craving for something sweet evolved when ripe fruit was a rare, brief, calorie-dense reward worth craving intensely. That craving for fat and salt evolved when those nutrients were hard to find and essential to survival, not something sitting in unlimited supply at every gas station counter. You are not weak when you crave a sugary snack at 9 at night. You are running ancient software in an environment it was never designed for. Your ancestors who craved calorie-dense food the hardest were often the ones who survived lean seasons. That craving was an advantage once. Now it is mismatched to a world of constant abundance. Even the rhythm of your eating has ancient roots you rarely notice. Feast and famine, not 3 steady meals, was the natural pattern for most of human history. A big kill meant a feast, eaten quickly before it spoiled, often shared across an entire group to build social bonds and obligations for the future. A lean stretch meant rationing, foraging, waiting. Your body still expects this rhythm in subtle ways, even though your calendar tells a different story now. So the next time you stand in front of an open refrigerator, doing nothing more dramatic than deciding what to eat, remember what that simple moment used to require. It used to require tracking animals for days, reading vulture flight patterns, knowing which roots were edible and which were poison, climbing for honey while bees attacked, sharing a kill the size of your whole future with everyone around the fire, because tomorrow you might need them to share with you. You'll close that refrigerator door in seconds. Your ancestors spent their entire lives solving the problem you just solved without thinking. The real answer to what they ate is not a diet. It's the reason your brain exists at all.